Hey everybody, this is Coach Charlie. Hey, just want to share with you the parenting seminar that we had this last weekend. For those of you that missed it, this is an opportunity to watch and see what Doug has to say. He's an awesome guy and had some great information. So if you didn't have a chance to see it, check out this video and maybe you'll pick up on a few tips. So this is the type of things that we do around here. If maybe you're a member that's or someone that's just considering involving your child in classes, we have parenting seminars. We have all different types of events. We bring professionals in to educate us. As martial artists and as of coaches of our youth students, we believe in constant growth of ourselves. We should always be improving and broadening our knowledge so we can get better as leaders. So take a look at this awesome video and hope you enjoy. Thank you.
As we can and hold our breath and hope we've set enough money aside to pay for our kids' therapy. So I appreciate that as a therapist. Yeah. And then, this is unknown, but I must believe that this is probably a mom who said this. It says, your life has changed when you're going to the grocery store by yourself, and that's a vacation. And then J.P. O'Rourke, who is a columnist, says, everybody knows how to raise children except the people who have them.
True that.
That's so true. Well, let me have an opportunity to share with you about parenting. And what I find the most important part about parenting is relationships. Relationships. And believe me, it's going to be the relationship that you have with your spouse, or it may be the relationship that you have with your child's parent. That's going to be the key. The key to successful parenting is relationships. And so let me share with you some things about relationships. Now, most important or key to a relationship is communication. It always comes down to this: learning how to communicate. So let me first talk with you a little bit about that, about communication, communicating between the parents. One of the first things I want to share with you about this is, remember this: make requests, not demand. There's something about us. If you tell me what to do, it may be the right thing to do and whatever, but I'm going to resist it. I'm going to push back. Especially within a kind of marital relationship. What I find that in the relationships, those things that cause the most conflicts is either when we feel like somebody's telling me what to do, my wife is telling me what to do, or the need is not being met. Some need is not being met. That is the source of most conflicts. So it's the idea of coming back to, hey, let's just make requests. Because as a request with each other, then it's this idea that, hey, we're equal terms here. We're on the same plane. We're both adults. Let's make requests of each other. And one of the things that we're going to need to be doing as parents, as adults, in the relationship, is learning to be good at negotiating. Because there's going to be times that you're not going to see eye to eye when it comes to your parenting. And you're going to have to look to see who's going to take the lead or who's going to be about trying to work together here so that we can negotiate to the point where we both can say yes. Yes, this is good. This is right. Because if you both can't say yes, then one of you feels like I just lost that one. Nobody likes to lose. So the next time, I'm not going to negotiate with you. So I'm going to get my way. Because we start keeping score. And so when we start keeping score, that's going to start doing some damage into the relationship. So we want to make sure that we have a good relationship with our spouse or with our with the parent, if it's having to do a co-parenting kind of project. Now, the other part about communication is the importance of listening. I've got to listen. And this idea of listen is seek to understand before being understood. Understand why is this so important to you? What makes this such an important request? Always need to try to understand. Seek to understand before you give your side. So seek to understand before being understood. The key to important communication is listening. And then the other part that I want to share with you is the importance of validation. Validate what the other person is saying. with that validation, you validate without judgment. Don't judge. Accept. Okay, you might not necessarily agree with what they have to say, but it's important that you understand, okay, these are their thoughts. These are their opinions. These are the feelings that they may have. So it's important to be able to validate what they have to say without judging. And of course, with that, we want to make sure that it's honest. That there is honest communication. Really seek to be able to understand. And that honesty of being able to freely share what your thoughts and feelings are when it comes to parenting issues or issues that you might have in your relationship. So again, I know that we're going to get to parenting in just a second, but I really think that the foundation there of good parenting is making sure that you have a good relationship with your child's parent, the other parent. Because what a child is needing, there's three things that a child needs. They need stability. And they get their stability from their parents. When their parents are stable, when that relationship is good, the child is going to feel stable. And that's very important. Because if the relationship isn't good, and there isn't that stability, the child is not, they don't know how to handle that. Their behavior starts acting out. They don't know how to express it, so other than acting out in some ways. So to provide stability for a child, it all starts with the relationship of the parents. And with the relationship with the parents, again, it's the importance of communication. Make a request. Don't demand. Listen. Seek to understand before being understood. Validate. Come on in. Validate that communication without judgment. Make sure there's honest communication. So as you go about trying to do that, to establish that, then you're providing for your child that stability. The other need that a child has is security. They need to make sure they have a very secure, safe home. If you don't provide that sense of stability and security for them, again, they're going to act out. They don't know how to handle that. They need that. And they get that from you as parents in the home. So provide stability, security, a safe place for them. And then finally what they need is significance. They need to feel valued. They're very important. It's important that you let your child know that you love them, that you're proud of them. And you help them understand and help them discover what they're good at. And let them know. That's what's going to help present to them or provide for them a sense of significance in their lives. When they have those things, when they have stability, when they have security, when they have significance, you're going to set them up for success. Success as kids, but also success later on as adults. So that's why I always start with, whenever I do any kind of counseling or working on parenting, I always say, hey, it's got to start with relationships, and the relationships with the parents. That's got to be stable. That's got to be secure. There's got to provide that sense of significance for the children. And you do that by making sure that you're communicating well.
Can I take a picture of that before you erase it, though?
Sure, you
My
bet.
husband's not able to be here, so I'm going to try and relay this. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Now, just as we talked about with the communication and the kids have needs, well, there are also some needs that are important to be communicated and met within the marital relationship, or and that's primarily what we're going to be talking about here, the intact family marital relationship. Again, trying to provide companionship. Now, men tend to want companionship a little bit different than women do. Men want companionship as an activity. something to go do something with somebody. They want to be active. Women tend to want companionship with someone just to kind of relate to connect with. So there's some differences there, but yet still needing companionship. Now men, we need admiration. We have weak egos, or very fragile egos, and we like to be stroked. We like to know that our woman thinks the best of us. So we like to be admired. And so we look to our wives, or a woman in our life to make us feel good, admire us, thinking we're doing a good job. Women want to feel significant. They have a need of significance. They want to know that they are valued, that they are the most important thing in your life. So they look for their man to provide that sense of value, that, hey, I'm significant in your life. All right, men, they want to be supported. They want to know that their woman has got their back, right there, cheering us on, encouraging us to go on. We want to need to be supported, while a woman needs to feel secure. That this relationship is safe, it's secure, and that my man in my life is going to provide that sense of safety and security for me. Finally, men need physical intimacy. We have a little stronger sex drive, and we like to have that physical intimacy. While the woman, she wants emotional intimacy. There's the difference. Oh man, that causes a lot of trouble in our relationships. Because the woman wants to have somebody again to kind of connect with. Tell me what's going on in your life. Share with me a little about you and what you've been experiencing. And the man says, oh, come on. Man, I just had a whole day and I don't want to talk about it and all this stuff. But in order for us to get the physical intimacy, we need to meet the emotional intimacy need. So that it just goes hand in hand. So we look to see, okay, we've got to go, this has got to go back and forth to help meet each other's needs. And again, to be able to communicate with each other what those needs are. So then you're providing a very stable home, providing some stability. And we're also providing some security for your child in the home. All right, so these are important things. Take a look and make sure you're trying to meet these needs. Now, again, these are the general needs, and there are probably more specific needs that you might have in your own relationship with your significant other. But it is important that we find that these are probably the four big ones. These are four major needs that we all have. And so we get into relationships probably because we have needs. And we look to that other person as a way to help meet that need for us. Okay, I'm about ready to erase that. Anybody else? You got it? Okay, all right. Okay, now we've got that covered. Now that we're meeting that need and communicating well within the family or marriage relationship, parenting relationship, then we're going to look to see what we need to do when it comes to parenting. Now, just like I talked about, that the relationship between the husband and wife or the parents is the key to good parenting. Well, the relationship with the child is very important as well. I want you to remember this phrase. When it comes to your parenting, rules without relationship equals rebellion. Rules without relationship equals rebellion. You try to establish the rules with your children in your home. You're just going to lay down the law. Hey, these are what we're expecting of you. These are the rules. But if you haven't taken the time, if you haven't built the relationship with your child, get ready for rebellion. They're going to push back. And they say, who are you? Who are you to tell me what to do? So it's all about building that relationship. making sure that you've taken that time to have that good relationship with your child. And if you've built that relationship, then yeah, you can lay down these rules or have these expectations, and you're gonna get compliance most of the time. Now, there's gonna be kids, and they're gonna push back sometime. But I think this is a really important phrase to remember. Especially as these kids get older and they start getting those preteen, teen years, rebellion seems to be kind of the thing, you know? But if you've done your job in those early years and you've got a good relationship with them, you've then established those rules, you are going to get the compliance. But if you haven't, get ready for the rebellion. It's going to happen. So let's talk about how we go about then building or making this relationship with your kids. Now again, it's going to go about trying to meet their needs. Give them that stability. Provide that sense of security. Help them felt that need of being significant, that they know their value is significant. Now, we can go about this, or I'm going to go ahead and erase this too, because there's some things I want to show you about that. Now, these are different ways that parents, well, they kind of parent or they're making relationships with their kids. The first one, unfortunately, this does happen. There's the absent parent. They're in a relationship. When you hear that phrase, absent parent, what comes to your mind? What is that? What is an absent parent?
Parent is not involved.
Not involved. They're not available. They're not there. However you want to say it. They're absent. Now, a parent can be in the same room, the same house, and all that with the child and still be absent. They've checked out. They're involved, and they're thinking, well, I gotta work for a living. I gotta pay the bills, so I'm getting so involved with my job. And then I'm not available. I'm not there. I'm not involved in your child's life. Absent. What's the consequence to an absent parent? What happens to that child if they experience an absent parent in their lives? Not good enough. Because the child is going to think it's about me. I've done something wrong. I must be bad. Because that's just where they are in their development. In a child, their development, it's very self-centered. It's all about them. They think everything evolves and surrounds them. It's all about who they are, about them. So if there's an absent parent, yeah, they think, it must be me. I must not be good enough. If that continues, that absent parent, this child then grows up with this emptiness. There's this hole that only a parent can fill. But as they get older, they get into their preteen years and those teenage years, they start looking for ways to fill that hole, that emptiness, that absence. And they start looking in all the wrong places. They start hanging around with, what we may say the wrong crowd. They may start exploring with drugs, alcohol, sex, all that in an effort to feel like they're good enough. Trying to fill that void that a parent needs to fill. Because only you can fill that void to help them feel that significance, that they're valued. They look to you to provide that. And if you're absent, they're going to start seeking it somewhere else. Watch out for that. Some problems. Then we have called the Disney parent. Now, what do you think that would be? What's the Disney parent?
Buying a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. Disney, it's all about fun. No rules. Do what you want. Buy stuff. Because then you go to the other extreme and you're not a parent because, hey, I just want to have, I want to be a friend. I think that's the way I can make a good relationship with you. I'll be your friend. Let's go have fun. There's no rules. Do what you want. Thinking, yeah, they're really going to like me. I'm really, hey, they're going to love me now because I'm going to provide all this fun for them and they get to do what they want and I can take them to the store and buy whatever they want. Thinking again that that's how they're going to build a relationship. So they go from one extreme where they're absent, they're not there, and they think, oh, okay, go this way. Be a Disney parent. What's the consequence of that?
Disrespectful children.
Disrespect. Yeah, spoiled. Heard a word we're hearing a lot of is entitled. Because they're letting the kids rule. They don't have the rules, but they let the kids rule. Yeah, and they think everywhere they go is Disney. Kids, they get to do whatever they want. There's no rules. You'll see some of them at your grocery store, different places where, wow, what's going on? These kids are just ballistic. Well, I don't know what all may be going on, but I think there's something happening here with the Disney parent happening. So guys, that's not the answer either. So it can't be absent, it can't be a Disney. Well, I like to use this word, engaged. An engaged parent. So what do you think that would be? What's an engaged parent look like?
Supportive parent.
Okay? Beth, there's support there.
They're involved. Involved.
Involved.
Honest.
Good guys, keep it coming. Yeah. Support, they're involved, they're honest.
There's,
I'm sorry?
Rules.
There are rules, that's right. In fact, they are being a parent. They're establishing rules, they're establishing expectations. They're setting a bar for them. The kids, they need that. They need the rules, they need the expectations, they need to know what to shoot for. Again, that helps to provide a sense of significance in their lives. And it does, it provides a sense of security for them as well as stability. That you're encouraging them, moving them up. All right, so we got support, involved, honest, you set rules, you're a parent. What else?
Love.
Yeah, sure. There's love in this.
tough love.
Sometimes you have to be tough in your love. Yeah, that's right. Because what that means, there's discipline. You set limits. You set consequences. With rules comes the consequences. If you follow the rules, hey, positive consequences. You get to live. No. If you get to do, things around the house. But if you choose not to follow the consequence, if you choose not to follow the rules, there's consequences. Guys, that's just the way the world is. We need to let them know and teach them in our homes before they get out there in the world and they experience the consequences of the world. Where there isn't that safety net or the umbrella of a family to be there for them. So, yeah, you love them, you discipline them, you set rules, you set consequences to those if you choose to break the rule. And you put the responsibility back on them because you want to help them, teach them about making good decisions. You make good decisions, good consequences. Poor decisions, bad consequences. And then you've got to be consistent with it. Consistency. to follow through. Because if all you're doing is just saying, hey, if you do that one more time, you do that one more time, hey, right? That's not going to happen. You got to be consistent. You got to follow through with it. That's what's going to help them move forward in life to be successful. What else? What else do you think would be involved in that engaged parent? One that's involved, and supportive, honest, with parents. Anything else? Well, with discipline, and believe me, there's a difference between punishment and discipline. Discipline is all about teaching. You want them to learn. You don't want them to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Because then that, whatever you're choosing to provide for them, some kind of, punishment to that, well, they're not learning from it. We want them to stop that behavior and do something that we are more acceptable, following the rules or the expectations that you have at the home. Okay, so there's got to be that consistency. You got to be consistent. You got to follow through. Probably enough said. Understand about that? Okay, you got to have the consistency. And with this too, you're teaching. Good parents are all about teaching. Discipline is about teaching. And what is it that you want to teach them?
How to be successful, how to be responsible, how to
Themselves.
Right, yeah, thank you. There we go. Because now we're teaching them about values. We're teaching them about morals. Values, morals. What's important in life? Okay? Now we're getting quite a list here. You can see how challenging it is to be a parent. The absent parent, the Disney parent, the list isn't quite as long. So anything worth having in life, anything that's worth it, takes work. Being a good parent takes work. Having a successful child, raise them up to be successful is going to take work. There's other ways, it's kind of the easy way out. Because this is kind of very much kind of selfish, It's kind of about me. Focused. The engaged parent is pretty much about, hey, child focused. Thinking best about what's best for our child. All right, and with all this teaching, values, and morals, guys, you know what you also are as engaged parents? You're role models. You're the one. You're teaching them. And I think it's an important thing to ask yourself at the end of the week, or sometimes what I ask my clients to do when we're dealing with some parenting stuff is ask them to think about this question. What is it that you want your child to have learned before they turn 18? Because at 18, that's when they're considered an adult. And they're usually kind of going off to school, going off to college, or kind of starting their own life, career. So you have your greatest impact on their lives up until they turn 18. So what is it that you want them to have learned? Yeah. Because then we're getting back into these things of values and morals. You are your child's greatest teacher. This is not who they get their teacher in the school. It's you guys. What they learn about life, what they learn how to be successful in life. That's right. They're watching. They're learning from you. Now, it's in those early years, and you probably can think back over your children, and I don't know how old your kids are, but when we're talking about the younger years, probably from birth up until 4 or 5. That's what we discover is that's their greatest learning, is in those years. That's when they learn the most. They are a sponge. They are soaking everything up. They're watching. You probably see it, you realize, man, they did something, and you go, oh my goodness, how did they learn that? Well, you know what? They watched you. They heard you. They mimicked you. So, guys, we gotta be careful. We are the role models. What are we teaching our kids? So if you're doing all this, well, then that's gonna lead to success. You're gonna have a healthy child. You're setting them up for success for adults, as an adult. And with most parents that I've ever talked to, all of them really, they always say, no, I want my child to have it better than I did. Okay, good. Let's make that happen. There's a little guy right there.
What's up, dude?
So let's make it happen. And you're the ones that make it happen, guys. So have it better. Okay, so before I erase this, any other thoughts or questions or comments that you might have about these established or these types of parents or relationships, parents' relationship with kids?
I have a question. What if you and your families and friends have a lot of Disneys around you? How do you continue to be that parent even though the kids see so much of the Disney?
Yeah, I know.
That's a challenge.
Yeah, it is. Yes, you're right. It seems like there's every family has that kind of.
Mhm.
Usually a grandma.
Well, yeah, grandma, that's a whole different kind of role.
Yeah,
You're right.
that's
You're
okay.
right. And I'm a grandfather, and so I know it's been. I find myself, being all about fun. But as parents, yes, you're right, because even I see this within the same home, or sometimes I do a lot of co-parenting. This is struggle. Well, one of the parents is going to tend to be the Disney, the other's going to be more the kind of the engaged, and then that really puts a conflict even with the child, because they say, hey, I kind of like this, it's all about fun, and I get to do whatever I want, and so then that puts the two parents at odds many times. And that's where it kind of goes back to what I talked about before. The first part, got to have that good relationship with the other parent so that you guys can be on the same page. If you're not on the same page, then you are going to have this friction. And that's going to require just a lot of communicating, working with the other person and saying, hey, remember, this is what we want to try to do. This is what we're designed to do. We want to help our child to be successful. What's our goal? How are we going to go about doing it? I hope that, again, that we can support each other, that we can be on the same page. Because, being an engaged parent, yes, you're going to have fun with your kids. Please, enjoy your kids. Because I know just because you're this engaged parent doesn't mean you can't have fun with them. But you're always making sure you're keeping the role of being the parent. You're not slipping into the role of just being a friend. You still have fun with them being a parent. Please, do that. Enjoy them. But getting back to your question, it is this time to sit down and we got to talk, because they can start seeing where it's going to start affecting the child, because then they don't have the stability and security and that significance happening, and they're going to start acting out. You're going to have some trouble. And so again, many times when I'm doing counseling with kids, typically I want to bring in the parents, because that's going to be primarily the reason why the child is acting out. Not all the time, but a lot of time has to do with, hey, the parents are on the same page. The kids are picking that up. And there isn't that stability for them. There isn't that feeling of security. And so if we work with the parents, say, hey, we got to find out what's our common goal here. How are we going to be successful? How do we want our child to be successful? How can we work together in this? And taking on the role, let's build being engaged. Yeah, we can have fun. And I know there's always it seems like there's always one parent that's a little more strict than the other, and it has a way of kind of balancing out sometimes. But again, we want to make sure that, hey, we got that support, we got each other's back, we're on the same page, we're working things out together. So sometimes that's where you might need to talk to a counselor and say, come on, let's go and talk and see what we can do to help get us on the same page as we get to raise our kids. But it does, bring some tension there. Any other questions, comments that you might have? here. So I've erased this. The next things I wanted to share with you, as we talked about, being an engaged parent, and that your big role is being the role model, teaching the values and morals. Here's some things, again, that I really encourage, I think every parent needs to be aware of and think about, what am I teaching? Here are some things I think is important you need to teach your kids. First, you need to teach them how to deal with conflict. How to deal with conflict. We're all going to have some kind of conflict in our lives. Anytime we're in a relationship, there's the potential for conflict. There's going to be conflict in relationships, guys. And when I do marriage counseling, it doesn't surprise me. There's conflict. That doesn't worry me. That doesn't bother me as a counselor. What will bother me is the way that you go about having your conflicts. That's where it can be harmful. And so we want to try to help teach our kids, let's do it the right way. Now, some parents, I know, they say, well, we never fight in front of our kids. Well, I can understand it, especially if you fight in a very unhealthy way. Meaning you're yelling, you're screaming, you're demeaning, you're name calling, you're cursing, all those kinds of things. No, they don't need to hear that. But if you learn how to conflict well, fight fair, then that's important for you that you need to teach your kids how to do that. Because they're going to have conflicts. They're going to have conflicts with other their peers in school. As they get older, they're going to have conflicts. But they need to know the right way, the healthy way to deal with their conflicts. Again, that we want to focus on seeking a solution and not winning. You want to attack the problem and not attack the person. You want to make sure that you're using I statements, that when this happens, I feel this, and what I would really like is this. That confronting in a very healthy way and learning to be able to deal with conflicts. So you got to really look to see, okay, what are they learning from us as parents on how to handle conflicts? Are we teaching them the right way or not? And if we're not, then we need to start learning how to do it right. Let's do it right, so they know how to do it. Okay, the other thing they need to know is how to deal with emotions. How to handle their emotions. Yeah, we're human. We're all going to have feelings. We're all going to have emotions. But again, we got to find what's the healthiest and best way to express those emotions. There's a good way and a bad way. The pleasant or the good emotions, that's very simple. When we're happy and joyful and all that, yeah, hey, have at it. But it's those painful emotions that we need to have greater education or helping them understand what's the best way to handle those painful emotions. Because at the core of every human is the sense of avoid pain, seek pleasure. Avoid pain, seek pleasure. So whenever we occur with any kind of painful stuff, painful emotion, we do everything we can not to experience it. We find some ways to avoid it or escape it. And again, those can be healthy and unhealthy ways. But we need to help them know how to deal with their emotions, how to express them, and know that, hey, you're going to have emotions. It's fine. And help them to understand that there's more emotions than just simply happy or anger. Because it seems like those are only, many times in the family, that seems to be the only emotions that they ever experience. There's more. In fact, as counselors, we look at the emotion of anger, and we say anger is a secondary emotion. It's usually the result of three things: frustration, rejection, or fear. You feel those things, and then that's what progresses into anger. So help them understand, no, not everything's anger. When they say, many times kids will say, I hate you. Ooh. Well, let's don't confuse hate with anger. And let's don't confuse anger with, are you feeling frustrated? Is there a feeling of rejection? Or is there fear? Help them start seeing that there's other ways to express them, other emotions. So we need to help them know about emotions and how to express them. The other thing we need to help them with is how to deal with losing. You know, that's part of life too. We're all going to lose sometime. We're going to deal with some kind of failure somewhere. Not always going to find success in everything. And they need to know how to handle that. You know, when they're involved in sports or anything in life, there's going to be a part, there's going to be a chance, there's going to be losing. You need to be able to help them know how to deal with that, how to express it, how to grow from that. We all need to experience some loss, because that's what's going to be a part of helping us move forward. I think there's some great, good things that come out of competition. Because there is going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser, and with that competition, the loser has the opportunity to grow, to learn, to get better. And I'm afraid that sometimes in our culture today, we're not allowing our kids to have experience the competition of winning and losing. And the world just isn't the way it is out there. If we're not helping them know how to deal with that now, well, they're going to have some trouble when they experience that loss. Okay. What else do we need to help them know about? Well, again, we kind of touched on this a little while ago. Values. As parents, you need to be able to teach them about that. What's most important in life? What do you value? Help me out. Explain to me or share with me some of the values that you are desiring and want your children to learn. Integrity. Okay. Thank you. What else? I think somebody said respect a little while ago. Responsibility. What else? What other kind of values? Persistence. Honesty.
I want them to know that they are significant within themselves.
Significant themselves. They have value. Yeah, it's not based upon others' opinions or their performance. That's one of the things true, you bet. Our significance, many times in our world, we get this caught up in this, I call it a lie, that my value, my worth is based upon my performance plus the opinions of others. And you know what? People are fickle. When we perform, we're at our A game, man, they're going to sing our praises. But then when we have a bad day, and we all have a bad day, man, people are quick to let us know about it too. And then their opinion of us. And then, boy, if we base that, our significance or our value on that, we're get ready for a roller coaster ride. You're going to have your ups and downs, again, based upon how well you perform and the opinions of others. So, yeah, good point. What else? What are the values? Strong work ethic, yeah. Anything worth having in life takes work. It does. And I think that's another thing we have to be careful of, because there's this entitlement attitude out there. I just deserve it. I don't have to work for it. No. Guys, anything worth having, those things we do need to work for it. Have a strong work ethic. Okay. Yeah.
Persistence, perseverance, keep trying, those types of
Yeah,
situations.
yeah, that's right. Good values, guys, that's right. So again, remember, you're the role model. If you want them to learn these values, that means you gotta show it. You gotta practice what you preach. Because as they get older, they really start recognizing if you are not practicing what you're preaching, they say you're a hypocrite. You say all this, you want me to do all this stuff, but look at you. You're not doing it. So, gotta live it. Okay, so we got values. The next thing that I think is important for parents to teach their kids is habits. Try to teach them good habits. Of course, you know, don't teach them bad habits. That'd be crazy. But good habits. Because habits develop character. What habits do you want them to have?
Build others up.
Sure.
Manners.
Manners, yeah. That's right. Because whatever your habits are, you know, it does, it reflects your character. All right. So guys, these are the 5 things I think it's most important that parents teach their kids. Teach them how to handle conflicts, how to deal with emotions, how to handle losing, what values, and establish good habits. Doing that, you're going to develop them some good character, and they'll be successful as adults. In the Old Testament book, the Bible, Proverbs says, as a teach child, train the child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart, he will not go away from that. So again, the value and the importance of you teaching your child the ways you want him to go, the ways you want her to go. And you do that in their younger years, they won't depart from it. It's going to stick with them. It gets passed on generation after generation. So I hope that, again, that you're doing all the right things. And just being here in this class really shows and demonstrates to me you want to do it right. And that's good. So keep trying. Keep working it. Be persistent. Be consistent. Love your kids. Be good parents. And you're going to train them in such a fashion that that's the way they're going to be as they grow. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Guys, if there's any other questions you might have, I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer, and I'll be glad to try to answer some of your questions. I also have some, sorry I have to do this, but I have some business cards, so if there's any way I can be of assistance to you later on, or you might know somebody, that wasn't here, that, man, they really, you think they really should come, need to be able to give you some counseling, I'll be glad to do what I can to help. So, again, thank you for your time and your participation like you did. That was very helpful. And so, any final questions or comments that you might have before? Yes.
I think something that we did kind of cover today is the importance of leadership. Like, our kids, unless they're involved in an extracurricular activity that teaches them this, I don't feel like they get it in schools a ton. But at some point in our life, we have to lead, whether it's ourselves or whether it's a group of people. And I see a lot of kids that come through my facility, and they've never even been taught the concept to understand what that means. But to know how to communicate with people and how to lead people is such an important thing. And parents have the ability to teach that if they know how to lead. So if we don't teach our kids how to lead, they won't teach their kids how to lead, and so on and so forth. So I think that's another kind of character development thing that we should instill in our children, whether it be parents or coaches or whatever.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's part of being that engaged parent.
Sure.
You're taking the lead.
Sure.
You're taking the lead. Disney parent doesn't let it. Disney parent lets the child lead. And there's no rules. So, yes, thanks.
Sure.
Anything else?
With our daughter, her electronics is like everything to her. Maybe suggest maybe something, try to wean her off, or I don't know if it's called wean her off.
Perhaps many times it is an addiction, isn't it?
It is.
That's all she
And
wants
Hayden loves his
to
TV.
do, that's all she wants to do.
Yeah.
She's a Minecraft junkie.
Okay. How old is she now?
9.
9. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's about setting some limits, and with that something that they really value, you can use that as part of a discipline as well, and that again, as you establish limits and set expectations and rules with them, then they can use that as, hey, this is a privilege. As you behave or you follow these expectations, these rules, and you're able to use this particular electronic screen time, whatever it may be. So it is that you, again, is taking the parent, taking the lead to say, hey, I just, together, you and, and your wife, is we're saying this is not what we want from you. This is what's going to be healthy. Now, I'm not saying you can't have it, because they're going to go to this all or nothing approach. We're not going all or nothing here. We're just looking for, where's the middle ground? What's the healthiest way? And so, yeah, it's you guys taking this time and setting those limits, whatever it may be, an hour or two or something like that. And then other times, be able to say, you gotta find something else. And if she needs some help finding something else to do, well, I'm sure you guys will be glad to help her in finding some other things that can be beneficial or more rewarding or helpful for her. But yeah, it's gonna start with you, and just taking that time. Now, if it is that addiction, we have to look to see, is she using it as an escape? What is she trying to escape from? And many times we'll look to see, okay, is there some kind of anger? Is she just bored, or is she tired? Is she stressed about something, whatever it may be, and this is becoming an escape? Well, then we got to start dealing with something else. If there's something else that may be going on, and she's using that as an escape. But more importantly, it is just kind of looking to set those limits and letting you know, yeah, we understand there's some value in this, good, it's entertaining and all that, but it can be too much of one thing can be not good for us.
We started setting limits for our boys on tablets and Kindles and video games. And if their homework is not done by 4:30, then they don't get to play on their tablet, and they can earn extra time by doing other things, whether it be cleaning their room or taking the trash out. You can earn an extra 10 minutes if you want to, but your homework has to come first because they refuse to do their homework.
Right, and again, we're talking about, values, we're trying to establish the sense of value. We value school, we value education, we're going to share that with you, because this is more important. It's what we do, so we set some limits with that. And we, value responsibility, doing your chores and things like that. So again, trying to establish those values. Habits, the good habits for the character. So maybe some ideas. And you're going to get some pushback. You're not going to like that. But again, that's taking some of our charge, taking the lead. Saying, okay, because we love you, we are an engaged parent, we're not going to let you just do what you want. This is important. Any other comments or concerns? One of the things I do like about getting in a group of parents, because then we can share some ideas, some things that have been successful that you found, hey, that works for our child, might work for yours. So share ideas, because we're all in this together. And sometimes we may feel all alone, but you know what? You're not alone, because there's other parents too that struggle with some of the similar things that you have. And so sometimes just brainstorming some ideas or giving each other some encouragement and feedback can be very beneficial in helping you in raising your children.
I got something. I always hear all different types of things. I'm around parents all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So the idea, I was sharing with my coaches, whatever we praise, reward, and recognize, we get more of, right? So we're talking about building work ethic in kids. We have something we consider a negative influence, which is a video game, which I kind of consider a negative influence. We want to teach our kids good work ethic. So like you have a reward system for your child, which is a great idea. And other parents that I talked to, they had like a stick. And he said it was a stick. I don't know if it's a Lego or whatever. If his child did the right thing, if he helped with cleaning the dishes or whatever, he'd give him a stick. That stick was for 25 cents. So you needed so much money, right, to play a video game. So what happened was he didn't spend any of his money. He saved it up and bought something big. So it teaches kids work ethic, because they work hard, there's something in the end. It teaches kids the idea of money, and it also teaches them that again, if I work hard, there's a reward. So the negative influences, they have to buy. And they understand if I work hard and I do the right things, there's a reward in the end, because in real life, that's what it is. So that blew my mind. Like, wow, what a great idea. Positive reinforcement while teaching them about money, while teaching them about work ethic. So that's something that I share with parents, seems to work really well.
Yeah, sure, you bet. Always looking to encourage good behavior, right behavior, reinforce that with positive reinforcement, and distinguish bad behavior through negative things, negative consequences. Sure. And behavior modification, that's what we're all about in those early years with the kids. Reward them for good behavior and consequences for bad behavior. Again, putting the responsibility on them. They have the choice. Choose to follow the rules, choose to do good consequences. Bad choices, bad consequences. Anybody else have any other thoughts or questions? Want to share some other things or stories that you have as parents?
We have 2 boys, and our oldest son has sleeping problems. We've tried many different things. It's always been an issue,
Okay.
even when he was a baby. I mean, we've even used, melatonin, and it worked. He did go to sleep, and then he's quit taking it, and he was fine for a while, and then he goes back to, it's not that he won't go to sleep, he gets,
He's afraid of what's gonna happen.
he's afraid that we're gonna be gone, or something. He sleeps upstairs, and he won't even sleep with his window open, because he's afraid something's going to happen.
Yeah. So there's that anxiety.
Yeah, very, very bad.
The security that is.
He wants his brother to sleep in his room, he wants to sleep downstairs. If we allow him to sleep downstairs in the living room, it's no problem, he'll go right to sleep.
Because he knows we're in the room next
Because
door.
we're right there.
Yeah. A sense of security.
And every person.
How old is he?
He's 11 now. A lot of people say give him medication, give him Psilocybin, and I hate that. I mean, the melatonin was one thing, but when people say, oh, give him this, give him that, I'm gonna get a drug. my
It
kid.
was used on a basis of trying to get him to realize it's okay to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And once he realized that after a couple of weeks of taking it, he knew it was okay to go to sleep. And then we stopped giving it to him and he did fine for a while. I'd say like 4 months, and now he's back to not sleeping. The only person's house I'll go to is my sister's, and yesterday he called me 3 times.
Because she has a new house. It's a new house, it's a new place.
So you live familiar with him,
Yep.
live familiar at all.
He doesn't even like to leave the house. Like, he doesn't like, if we go to somebody else's house and there's other kids there, he'll,
Stuck right
stuck
there.
with me, wants to hang out with the guys and watch what we're watching or do what we're doing. And then it's, when are we leaving? I wanna go home.
Sorry.
So, I mean, we've had people tell us to talk to a counselor, we've had people tell us to get drugs.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is gonna be a drug or something.
No.
There's something else, there's, again, we're talking about some sense of security, there's that anxiety that's there. So I need to talk to him, try to help him overcome whatever those anxieties are. Anxieties are typically the result of some kind of twisted way of thinking, distorted thinking. He's thinking the worst case scenario.
He has a
There's
very
always-
imaginative mind.
Yeah.
Like, he creates superheroes, stories and
Right.
everything.
And so he's got these superheroes and he's got these villains and these bad guys and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a matter of just trying to help him develop the skills to overcome this anxiety and develop more confidence. So I would think probably might be best to talk with the counselor. And-
Our youngest boy has no problem. He'll go right to bed and lay down and all cold and snoring and sawing logs, half hanging off the bed. No
Now,
problem.
is he the younger?
Yes, our younger,
The older one is the one that has the anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, it seems to be, the birth order, because there's a tendency for the firstborns to want to do everything just right.
Yeah.
And have that sense
He's
of
the
perfection.
boss.
And right. And so he takes that role very seriously, trying to protect her, and anything bad to happen and things like that. And so it's a matter of just trying to help him overcome some of these twisted ways of thinking.
He tries
So-
to become a parent.
Yes. Yeah, so we all let him, yeah, again, because he's thinking, well, the only way to be secure is that I gotta take the lead here. I gotta do it myself. I'm gonna make sure that things is okay according to him. And not allowing parents in his life to provide that sense of security and stuff. I'll be glad to talk to you guys a little bit later. I'm sorry, did you have a
I
comment?
had a, is that okay?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I don't have a drug situation, I think it's briefly, I'll go away from that. But what about a pet? Do you guys have pets?
Yes, and we used to let the one dog sleep up there until he started peeing everywhere.
The dog didn't want to be up there.
The dog would be up there, he'd be up there, but he would pee everywhere.
He's
So we
probably
had to
felt the
stop.
It did help for a little while.
Yes, it did help, but it became an issue when the dog started, because he's a couple years old and he would pee everywhere. Mark his territory and
Pets? Oh, that's-
pee everywhere.
You want another pet? That
We have
you
2
wanna
dogs.
Uh,
We have one dog that's very old and one dog that's very young.
We got an animal for my son. He has autism and that helped him with a lot of coping stuff. And it was in a therapy.
Like a fish or something.
um,
You could keep it.
Oh.
He actually got a cat, and the cat cuddles with him and keeps him safe. So he actually, the cat goes to sleep, so he actually goes to sleep. So he has a hard time in a different sense, like calming his body and make, to be able to go to sleep, so he doesn't, I guess it's sleeping through the night too. But, so he has an animal that lays down with him to maybe.
Our dog did help, I mean, our
Yeah, the dog did
smaller
help.
dog did help, it's just, was an issue with.
Right, sure.
upstairs.
Well, because you are looking to try to provide some sense of stability or security for him, where he feels more comfortable or safe. Dogs can do that. Sometimes you can use blankets, sometimes you can use something.
He has his blanket, he has his stuffed animals. he
Yeah.
has-
But
He
none of
was
those things now are
diagnosed with
not,
night
we're not
terrors
working
at like
on.
6 months old. He would wake up in
Night
the
terrors?
middle of the night and look like he was awake, but he really wasn't. I don't, it's
So this started when just,
very
Baby.
young,
Baby.
very young. In kindergarten, he went to school and told his kindergarten teacher that our house burned down and we were living in a motel because that's what he had imagined.
there is night terror.
And it was at the beginning of the school year. In first grade, he went to school and told them that something else tragic had happened. And he does it every year at the beginning of the school year. He comes up with this weird story.
Is it something you've already talked with your doctor about, your pediatrician?
He doesn't. I'm not one that's gonna medicate my child who doesn't need it, and I feel like that's what they want.
You think that's what they would do? But I'd be glad you know, maybe talk with you guys or something.
One thing that I think is great is like, cause he always wanted to sleep in the bed, it's just me and him there, and he always had like this scared of being with me. But, we like debrief our day and talk about the next day. So it's like 10 minutes before bedtime. We read the, he'll do his reading, and then we'll just debrief. Like, what was that part of your day? What was something that, made you feel anxious today, or upset, or whatever? And what's something you can do to change that? It's a little conversation.
Yeah.
It helps.
Again, we're always thinking about trying to provide those needs for them. A sense of stability, a sense of security and significance. You meet those needs for your kids. That's what's going to happen.
Awesome. All right, let's give him a hand, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Thank you. Awesome.
Great, guys. I hope you learned a few things. I certainly did, so I appreciate you coming out. For those of you who want to be better parents and grow and always get better. So thank you for coming, and I'm sure Doug would be happy to answer any other questions if you want to talk to him more privately. I'm sure he'd be happy to have you to his office. Thanks again for coming, guys.
Okay, I'm going to clean.
Yeah, it's a lot better. Yeah, I know. It's well, can have food.
Thank you very much, Doug. That's great.
That's good. Here you go, guys.
But he's working way too hard. We all have one.
Doing what it's supposed to, I
guess. He specializes a lot in kids.
All right, yes, thank you.
We've been told to give up.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a good. Yeah, you're welcome.
And now,
Where's
like
the
being
fix?
in school,
Yeah,
that's
good.
coming.
Me too.
We go to the lawn.
Yeah, yeah.
And he knows that we're not.
You guys better work together. That's really important.
So, especially around like Father's Day,
We can't force it to it, so
it's really, I don't know, I guess.
Is the dad?
But I will say,
He doesn't.